So,
thanks, April.
How are you?
Good.
Chris,
How are you? Jim, good to see you. Mike,
hey,
how are we doing?
good.
Good.
Make it warm.
well, I guess we can go ahead and get started then.
Yep.
Welcome, everybody. Should we go ahead and go through introductions again, Chris?
I think everybody's getting to know each other, so
Okay,
probably
sounds
not
good to me.
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Just know that our team over here is a resource to everyone on this committee. So if you have any questions regarding any aspects of public works, these are our experts over here.
Gary's already worked them over.
Sure enough.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the August 20 and September 24th minutes?
Second.
We have a motion first.
Oh, motion.
Yeah, we got a second. We have a motion then. Okay, Gary, great. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. I guess, Tyler, we're going to send it over to you now then.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time this morning. We've been working on a lot of projects. I was tempted to throw a few more slides in to include more projects because there's so many fun things to inform you guys on, but in particular we wanted to share some details about, as you'll see on the agenda, we've got a Women and Children's Memorial that we'd like to talk about this morning, and we've got a new bike park phase that we're talking about doing up at Timpanogos Park. So appreciate your time, and we'll walk through a handful of slides here, and I'll try to give you as much information as you care to have. A little bit of history on the Women and Children's Memorial. This was brought to our attention, we've probably been working on this for a little over a year now. There was a BYU student that was working on a project, and in her research and going through some databases, she was working on a project specifically for Scandinavian women who were helped settle Utah. And she came across this story of a woman, Ava Carlotta Anderson, who lived on this parcel. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's kind of hard to see in a focused flyover like this, but this is a future well site that we plan to use right east of the PWAC on 1600 North, just east of State Street. There's a vacant lot there that the city owns, and it's been determined that this immigrant woman had 2 children who died shortly after birth, and she buried them on this lot. This became, I wouldn't say it got a ton of attention, but it was in the news and was kind of highlighted publicly.
Can I clarify?
Yes, please.
You have 2 different photos of it, is that right?
Yeah. So talking about the first one, I'll explain why this one's here as well.
Okay.
But this is the site where
I just want to clarify.
Yeah,
the 2 different
perfectly.
photos.
Thank you for pointing that out.
It's interesting. It's one of the relatives used to work for Orem City. His name was Dave Calander. He passed away, I don't know, 5 years ago now, maybe.
Yeah.
He lived at this location, and he was aware of these babies that were buried in this general area. Back when they lived here, 16th North wasn't around. Dave actually, with city equipment, went out and tried to dig in this area and find where those remains may have been. Oh, maybe that was about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Couldn't find anything. So BYU, they assisted in trying to find the location of these babies. They think that they are probably located in 16th North, generally.
Oh, okay, so
They're
not in
not-
that spot there.
They're not there, but that's where they lived.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that happens to be in my neighborhood, so I've heard about this for many years, and it's interesting how it's come kind of full circle, and now we're looking at maybe doing some kind of a marker here or memorial here.
Yeah, I pass that all the time and never had any idea.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they want to do this, is to point out this is maybe in a historical location from that perspective.
The cabin that we're restoring to go at Heritage Park, did it also come from this general
No.
area? Totally different area in the city?
It was about a half mile away.
Yeah.
Down around the corner.
Yeah.
So I wanted to highlight two different areas because as we were working with, so Becca got Lene Millet involved, and we've kind of formed this little focus group that Chris and I've had the privilege of working with and getting to know quite well. We've helped walk them through some concepts with a design team. The same, what is the company that Rob works for? I know Rob it's not Landmark.
Oh, no, it's
Blue Line.
No,
No.
it's Joe Smith. What's their company called?
Method
Studios, that's
Method
right.
Studios, yeah.
So we've had Rob from Method Studios helping us put some concepts together, and we'll share some of those with you, and you can see what he's kind of been putting together. But as this grew on this site, it became evident that we were pretty limited in what we could do on this site, and it has since expanded to maybe creating something bigger and a little bit more generalized that would be a place for everyone in the city, not just a hyper focus on this particular pioneer story, but you know, throughout the city we all experience grief. We have infant death, we have teenage suicide, we've got a lot of different things that families go through that are really traumatic, and as this kind of built and gained energy, we thought maybe we could build something more significant at the cemetery that would be a sacred place for all of our residents to come and reflect and have. So that's why we have a second flyover. This area highlighted in pink is the general area that we've identified in our cemetery that would be a good spot to potentially build this memorial garden. This is what's kind of been drawn up for the well site. So it'll be separated with somewhat of a wall there where we would have our water facility to the south, and on the north end bordering that sidewalk we would have something that maybe it would include some informative placards, maybe some landscaping and some lighting, some sitting benches, just trying to kind of create a sacred space to kind of pay tribute to this family. And there's been some talk about maybe even generalizing that a little bit to maybe just focus on the hardships that our pioneer ancestors went through in coming here and settling Utah. There's been, right now it's all concept, so just be mindful of, we're coming up with some ideas, and council I think is still sorting out which direction we want to go on, how to go about doing this. These are some concepts that we've discussed for the cemetery site. There are some water features that have been implemented, different pathways to kind of, maybe we have different themed areas that kind of focus more on infant death versus middle age versus seniors. There's all types of grieving and healing that we go through as families, but I think the idea in this concept is to provide a beautiful garden where people can go and reflect and mourn the loss of their loved ones. And these are just a few ideas that Rob has drawn up for us. We've got a meandering stream on this side. And again, these are in concept. We're still kind of trying to iron out what we want this to actually look like. I think our last meeting we just determined, let's determine what the fundraising looks like, and then we'll fine-tune the design and go from there. Any thoughts or questions about what we're doing on
So
these?
you don't have a time frame on this at all then?
No, I think that's fair to say.
What we're going to do is we're going to bring this to the council at one of our next council meetings. These are both concepts. We have some renderings as well that have a lot more detail that we want to get their feedback on. Mm-hmm. And timing is also going to come down to cost. What's been represented at 1600 North is about a $400,000 memorial. This is looking at about a $1.5 million to $2 million memorial. You know, when it comes to memorials, you can spend a lot of money.
Yeah, nothing's cheap anymore.
Nothing is cheap, yeah. And so Tyler mentioned also fundraising. We believe, and I don't know if it's just a gut feel or whatever that we have, that this could really probably impact a large segment of our community that maybe is a little more silent and doesn't maybe talk about this, and that they might have a desire to get engaged and involved in something like this, because maybe they had a stillborn, or maybe they had their granddaughter pass away, or something when she was an infant, or it affects so many people, and we think that this is impactful. This committee that is engaged in this, one of them is a nurse that deals with social work to some degree among those who have lost a baby at birth or a stillborn or something like that, and she counsels with them, and so she sees it all the time, and it's probably more real than we care to know or believe, and it's impacted more people in our community than probably we have any idea. So we feel like there could be a lot of positive energy for fundraising for something like this. So we're going to bring this to the council, get their input and ideas. It's a large price tag that we can't build overnight, and will require a lot of momentum and garnering support and fundraising efforts, I think.
Yeah. Good.
And I think Tyler also mentioned, so it started with the infants, the babies, but we'd like to maybe expand it beyond just children, but grief in general for a loss. You could tie it in anyway. We don't want to just say, oh, if you've had an infant die, come over here. But like Tyler said, there maybe there's a teenager or something who died tragically or whatever.
Well, and I think I'd like to maybe even add, recently we've had a couple of tragedies in our city that has caused the family to reach out to us in particular and ask for something special to memorialize their child. And we see this happening, I wouldn't say often, but it's happened more recently a couple of times. And we thought, how do we get ahead of this and help families feel like there's a place rather than having little memorials throughout the whole city, because we have a lot of people that unfortunately pass away in tragic ways in our city, and we don't need to have memorials and benches and stones and things placed all over the place everywhere something happens. We're kind of trying to find a place that
It's a part of life, right?
fits for everybody.
I mean, we're gonna do it for everybody.
We're kind of working on a memorialization policy and trying to help people navigate that tragedy and have a place that's kind of designated for that need.
We have the Veterans Memorial and Gardens up there, and Veterans Day, we just had a really beautiful celebration and event. And then Memorial Day, we do the same thing up there in May every year. And so that's a certain group of our society where we do have a memorial up there with names of individuals who have passed away in the line of duty who were from Orem. And so this will be something maybe similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to,
Go ahead.
I wanted to point out just one more detail while we're on this slide. I would hope I think we've recognized that as our cemetery's expanded, it's been surprising how quickly that lower lot's been filling up. And we know it's a long walk uphill to get to that facility in the northeast corner. So with this, we would like to probably do another restroom facility, a nice building down there to kind of service patrons that are visiting the cemetery on that lower lot. There's a light sketch there with a parking lot. We would probably, right where Chris is showing, we're thinking about putting a building right there on that corner.
There's no bathroom facilities down here. We have porta potties currently, and we want to make that better.
Yeah, so we'd hope
For the
to
patrons.
include that in this design, and that need might, I don't know, I wouldn't say escalate the calendar of when this happens or not, but there's other needs that we'd like to fill when we do this project that I think are necessary.
Yeah, I see this as being a phased project over time.
There's a city building, right? Is it a maintenance building, or is that a well house, or what is that?
There's a city maintenance building, cemetery building. It's old, haunted, according to some.
Another haunted place.
So I don't want to be the one demoing that,
It's currently
So it's on this parcel.
It
Yeah.
is. It's kind of, it's a bit of it's not an eyesore, but it's not
It's a simple, small storage facility that we
cinder
don't
block
really.
painted, small,
Yeah.
old.
It'd be good to update and.
Well, it is by the
increase storage.
cemetery, so it could be haunted. so.
Our sections will say it is. So.
I believe it was just a detached garage of the home that used to be there, and they just kept it for storage.
So the concept would be to build both of them, not either or.
No, we'd remove the one.
The 1600. No, no. Well, the
Oh,
16
oh,
sorry,
oh,
the two
oh.
memorials. The one at 1600 North, smaller, and the one at the main cemetery.
This committee wants to do both. Whether or not we've
Is that-
tried to steer them a little bit towards this, and really build something really beautiful and nice. The one on 16th North, I just can't. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around people wanting to come there
It's a busy intersection.
with this busy. Yeah, it's a busy intersection. It's in between 4th West Signal and State Street Signal.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like that's going to be.
Well, and it's a future well site.
Yeah.
That's kind of an area well, I know we have water facilities that have public facilities on top of them in the city, but
yeah, it happens.
but that being said,
I mean, I think a marker at that location is
Sure,
really appropriate,
something
and,
really minimal.
and maybe something historical where people can learn a little bit about that particular site. But I'd like to leverage as much money towards the cemetery location as we can, and we'll see what the council decides. It's in concept form right now. And,
You know, I looked at that and the thought came to me of making it more a desert landscape. Have you ever been down to St. George? St. George has an absolutely stunning cactus garden that is, I believe it's a memorial as well. And it's every desert plant in fact, my wife and I have gone there a couple of times just to get ideas for our yard. And the cool part about that is then you wouldn't have to worry about all of the stream and the water and stuff. I mean, we are in a desert.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. We did promote that idea, more of a xeriscape with more one of the members said she was living in Alaska at the time. She's like, I just want it to be green and pristine, and I'm like, if I may say, when the pioneers were here, there was nothing green and pristine, okay? If we want to represent the reality of the situation, it was probably more bleak and deserty, and there weren't any trees around here. I mean, they do want green, though, so.
You know what? If you can, have them do a field trip down to St. George. That garden down there is absolutely amazing.
Okay, so is this by the cemetery, or?
No, it's up on the hill.
Yeah.
Which garden are you talking about? I'm familiar with quite a few areas down there, but
I've been there. It's on
Yeah.
the north side. It's a little garden.
Yeah, it's down. It's.
is it up on the bluff?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit up on
Yeah,
the
it's not. It's not really. It's not up on the bluff, but
Okay.
it's.
But it's a large area, though.
It's a large area. It has nice walking paths. It has and like I said, every desert plant, but it is basically dedicated to and it would fit what I see the theme of this.
it's probably at the Washington County Water Conservancy District's headquarters. That's
Oh.
what I'm guessing.
Probably a demonstration garden area. Probably with the plantings. Are they marked and everything?
Yeah, they're all
Yeah,
marked.
they're all marked.
It probably
Here's
is.
what kind of plant it is, and like I
I'll
said, they had
check
like
that out.
14 varieties of ice plant, which is one of the things I was particularly looking at.
What kind of plant?
Ice plant. I discovered it when I lived in Saudi, but it's a very cool desert.
Ice plant.
Yes.
Desert plant. Interesting. Okay. Well, thanks for the idea.
Might include a way to not just have names and things set permanently,
Yeah.
but to be able to update it continually so
I like
that
that idea.
more recent events can be acknowledged
Yeah.
and build that into it so it's changing and current.
Updated and current.
Yeah.
And we could keep a record of all of the names, and maybe we have like on a plaque or something, maybe a QR code where it will show all the names. You can just look, scan it and see everyone. But maybe just, yeah, we're going to be space limited, I think, so that's a great idea, Gary.
Next project we'd like to review with you is an additional phase to our bike skills park. This was kind of conceptualized about 2 years ago in July of
On your property.
2022. We went out and walked this park with myself and Chris and our recreation director. We had a couple of local mountain bike coaches there. They love what we've built in phases 1 and 2. They're north of the parking lot and have expressed a need for providing more difficult terrain, things that they can build on their skill set and continue to advance their skills. So what you've got highlighted there in pink, the green shaded area is city property. The red shaded area is Central Utah Conservancy Water District's property. And we've currently been working with Kirk Beecher and Paul Pierpont to try and get some agreements made where we can build this. I think we've got support from them. They seem excited about it, so we're excited about it.
We took them to lunch a few weeks ago, and they're like over the moon on this. They're like super excited. They said, "Oh, we're going to have so many guys coming down, or gals coming down from Central, down here, mountain biking over here." Have you heard of any of this?
So I haven't, but I do know we have a project in the works for a sluicing and detention basin in this area. Did they mention that?
Yeah, they said they're going to cancel that and then just let us
build
do
this. we could make a water feature.
No, they did.
Something
They
we
did
could
bring that
jump
up.
over.
They said that's a fairly new idea and for dewatering and also some removal of some sediment from the tank and pipe in that area. So
Just to make sure that those two are being coordinated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where exact?
So this is up the Provo Canyon. This is Canyon View Park. This is Mount Timpanogos Park. You know where that is?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Here's the diversion right here for the Murdoch Canal, Provo River Aqueduct. The parking lot's here. Park's here. We have 2 phases of a bike skills park in this area that, if you've never been, it's quite fun, and it's moderately challenging. It's really good for beginners, but this is going to be more advanced, and you're going to see why when you see some of the details.
Cool.
But there's a large mountain biking community, I think, rowing with high schoolers. Jen Gale is a big proponent of this. She's involved with the mountain bike teams, high school teams, and the coaches and so forth. And she's a councilwoman on a council that's really a proponent.
So from the time we discussed this and thought, oh, that sounds like a really good idea, we've started kind of walking down this path of working with Central Utah. We were able to get a grant award from the Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant, and we began design with Avid Trails. We're at the point now where we've pretty well got a concept in place. I've been emailing Central Utah as early as yesterday to try and finalize some agreements. The hope would be to start building the prefabricated structures over winter to begin construction as early spring, probably beginning of March. They would start building this to be done and ready to open by the end of August is our hope. So this is kind of what is in concept right now. The yellow line that's furthest to the left here, this would be a climbing trail that would go up to this point. I'll show you some features. This is labeled for a reason. They're kind of talking about, and our council got really excited about this particular feature where maybe it's a little lookout point with a bench. Maybe it's an iconic feature that people can post on Instagram from a morning hike. Maybe we put a platform up there and have a morning yoga class. There's lots of options that people are excited about, but this is essentially where the climb ends and you begin your descent. There's going to be a blue line that's a descent line that's going to be a little bit less aggressive, and then a black line that will be a little bit more advanced. And then it's designed to recircle so that you can just session that for as long as you want. Just keep going, making laps.
That yellow line is what, it's gotta be at least a 10% grade going straight up.
I don't think it's quite that bad. The trail designers have a specific grade that they kind of try to keep within a maximum.
Well, what I mean is, if you're going straight up.
Oh yeah,
from
for
bottom to
sure. If
top,
you're going
it's
straight
steep.
up, it's pretty steep. I
So
think they
that's
try
why
to
there's so
cut
many
it
switchbacks on there.
to where it's about a maximum of 5%.
Yeah.
So that it's doable. This would be bidirectional, will allow hiking on the yellow line only because the bike traffic going up is so slow that it's safe that you can share that trail. All of the blue, black, and this stuff would be downhill biking only, no hikers allowed. And we'll get into some detail on what these trails look like. This over here is a lot smoother, flatter grade. We're calling that a skills meadow. And we're going to have some areas where there's a skilled coaching zone where there will be areas that the coaches can be right next to the trail helping the students with their techniques on their flat turns and their berm turns. There's going to be a rock garden to allow some skill learning on technical navigating through rocks and riverbed kind of stuff. So kind of fun. We're trying to implement a bunch of features in a small space to create a lot of variety. By incorporating those prefabricated features, it allows us to fit more in without as much dirt work to be moved. It's a lot more resilient to wear and tear on the trails as well, less maintenance required. So we're pretty excited about this. We presented this to council a handful of weeks ago and there was a lot of excitement about it. So we're excited to get started on this in the spring. This is looking directly up that more advanced hillside. So this is where your downhill and your climbs are going to be, where the blue and black trails are. This is that in a little bit more detail where you can see the different ramps and different ideas that they're trying to implement into that design. An idea of how that would lay out.
And on the right side, you can see what's called the black whale tail. I'm not going to do that. I would have a few years ago.
We have a black shark fin. We've got a diving board ramp. There's a black cannon ramp, and you'll be able to see on these next slides. I've got some pictures to kind of give you an idea of what these look like in real life. A couple of tabletops, just some different fun things that our riders have been asking for and interested in. So yeah. This would be some examples of maybe some of the features that we would see on the black line that are more advanced. These would be more of what you'd see on that blue line, maybe not quite as aggressive, not as big of a drop, but we'd like to have some jumps in there. This is an image that shows that more gradual sloped area we're calling the skills meadow. And that drop zone here that you can see, this is kind of fun because they're going to have an area where the coaches can stand and observe as they come, and this is essentially like your beginner, medium, intermediate, and advanced, so they can hit this jump until they're feeling just confident enough to take the next step and move to a different one and progress through that. Kind of like that picture on the lower left where they slowly progress to maybe a more steep slope or a higher takeoff point. And these are some of the ideas that they're looking at for that overlook at the top of the climbing trail. Any thoughts or comments?
Do you have a first aid station close by?
That'd probably be a good place for it, if they can make it that far.
That's not a bad idea to have something at the kiosk. I don't know how we'd keep that stocked, but
I think, so the lawyer in the room obviously is concerned about liability to the city and the district because of the property issues here. I think in a lot of these kind of things I've seen, they have a telephone for emergency purposes. They have that up on the backside of Snowbird, for example. That was put in a few years ago in the county because of the folks in the winter stuck down in that area. So I'm wondering if that would be something, if someone does get hurt on one of these things, you had a telephone someplace up there. I know that's also a problem too, because people break those kind of things and stuff like that. But
Sure.
But I think that's something that I've seen more recently, trying to address some of these kind of bigger issues. Someone goes off one of those cliffs, breaks an arm or something like that, or breaks a leg, those kind of things. Get help up there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And what about parking? And I realize people probably just ride their bikes up the canyon, so they won't have to park. But there's some people that will come from Salt Lake and maybe want to park. Do you know where they're going to park?
Yeah, all of the parking is planned for Timpanogos Park. Right now, it seems like ever since the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival went away, that parking lot's never been anywhere near capacity. There's a ton of space there. And I think part of us trying to do this is to activate that park more. We think it's a beautiful park with a lot to be enjoyed up there. There's a lot of ideas floating around on how to activate this park and do some really cool things in the future. So I don't think we're worried about parking at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. So right across from the phase 1 and phase 2, there's a large, is that gravelled area paved? Did we ever pave that?
No.
So it's, yeah, let's go ahead and pull that up. You can see that's all overflow down there in that knot.
In here too.
No, up
Or you're
above.
talking about this one?
Yeah,
both
that's on our
places.
property.
Yeah.
Down below is not our property though.
But it's public property.
Not ours. So we'll program this area here.
Yeah, we did put a bunch of crushed asphalt on both of those last year, right? And smoothed it all out, made it really nice.
I think there's a lot of, I've been to wedding receptions up in that park, so there's quite a bit of park.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Has anyone ever been up here to the phase 1 or phase 2? Mike, are you into biking?
If it has a motor between
Yeah.
the wheels.
There you go.
I mean, there's not a pump track here, but there's some ups and downs and stuff, and some smaller curves and jumps and things. But it's really more for the younger kids that are learning and getting into mountain biking, and for the first time. And to them, this is going to be like Mount Everest going up in this area. But they're gonna gain skills quickly. You just keep going down, up and around these loops and so forth, and they're going to want to have more, and that's where this other area is going to help with that appetite, I think. Mike and with Central Utah and Rob, that there's a lot of trails and so forth and bikers that come up and down in this area. You can even see some of them over here, and they come off that main road, the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. I know that we've tried to prevent that from getting too out of control, and there's a lot of other trails in this upper area here. That's all in the DNR property, but those aren't really specific for bikes. It does say upper bike trails though, so you do see some bikers up here, but I think you see more hikers up in this area. It gets pretty steep.
I don't know that you need anything special, but I think it'd be kind of nice to emphasize the older, not just the kids, but places for old dudes that still want to try to bike and things too.
Yeah.
And with the publicity and that, include them.
What would Gary Morley like?
Well, just the opportunity, and even, I don't know, just in the publicity and that, have the kids not blow them away, and I don't know, but just a place where they can go. One thing is where there's not a huge amount of rocks.
Yeah.
That makes it, the steepness and all you can handle, but sometimes the rocks make it pretty uncomfortable to ride.
So you're talking about off path kind of biking, not
Well,
like
yeah.
I mean there's the river trail that's awesome.
Well, I'm thinking up above the highway, up above Timpanogos Park, the trail that goes along
Okay.
the base of the canyon. Super nice place, but it's really rough in a lot of places.
Yeah. Well, that's another element we need to consider.
But just a group of people that you can service and maybe and just let them know that it's there and invite them to come.
There are some maintenance roads that are open to walkers and bikers, I believe. Quinn, up there where you access up to Alta by Canyon Springs, you can get through there with a bike.
Yeah.
And so maybe we should promote that more, because it's more of a maintenance road. It's you know, it's 20 feet wide, 15 feet wide or so, and it's groomed. And we have a grader that goes up there on occasion, but you're gonna have rocks on occasion, big stuff. But and then yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Promote fitness and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I like that.
fitness and photography and
Mm-hmm.
you know, just something else to do.
Thanks, Gary. That's a great idea. This might be something too you could be interested in. I'm not sure.
As we were talking about this with council a couple of weeks ago, there was some discussion. I've had quite a bit of discussion with Bryce, our recreation director, as we've talked about activating this park more. We've talked about doing some, and take this as very preliminary discussion. There's nothing planned yet, but this is ideas and thoughts that we're having. Nature walk trails that maybe interact with the river area more. We're talking about elevated structures, kind of like when we were talking about it, it gave me the impression of like a fire tower, a fire lookout, but it would be more for those that are interested in photography and bird watching, and maybe having some, maybe we take into consideration plants and trees that maybe invite certain types of birds or wildlife that would kind of create a draw for that, to create an environment for people to come and see that. So those are great recommendations. I'll continue to be mindful of all of our age groups as we try to build out this park and make it more accessible to everybody. That'll be fun, I think. I really liked the bird watching idea and some of that, the photography towers and lookouts. I thought sounded kind of cool. So, moving forward, we've already kind of been thinking about what would be a phase 4, and we're looking at these asphalt pump tracks. They've been gaining a lot of attention, and there's been a lot of other cities that are building these. The kids seem to love them. For those of you that aren't familiar with what a pump track is, it's essentially a lot of grade changes where you can kind of use your weight and your momentum to pump yourself through this without even really having to pedal. They're good for bikes, they're good for rollerblades and longboards and skateboards and all sorts of things. Anything with wheels where you can shift your weight around, you can pretty much use them on these. And we've been trying to identify some areas in the city that this would be a good fit. I'll play this video to give you an idea what this looks like.
It's not motorized, Mike.
You could probably get an electric motor on that skateboard.
Yeah, you could.
This is a track up in Richfield.
Welcome to Richfield and the best pump track in Utah. Go check it out. This pump track is huge. I don't know the numbers, but they just built it.
I didn't mean for that to start where it did.
Yeah. They're fall zones.
How do those hold up over time? Seems like it'd be rough maintenance.
Yeah, we've had those same concerns.
That's fun on year one.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. nicely paved asphalt, brand new streets. Long borders covet those, right? The ones that are in Pleasant Grove.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Not as good when you have to put a chip seal on it.
He's not even pedaling, so it just has to.
Yeah, I'd wondered how you maintain that too.
I don't know.
I don't know. My hope is with the light traffic on them, maybe they don't require maintenance like our roadways do. But
Bill, what do you
and
think?
I
Do you have
and
any
Cody
concerns
and
with
I kinda
that?
had some talks as well. Like, how in the world do you even get in there to maintain that?
Yeah, be concerning.
Call Richfield and ask them how they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, next
They'd
year.
be like, yeah, we don't know either. We just built it.
We should.
We ought to look out to some cities that have maybe had them for a while and see what that looks like. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm sure the guys that are building them could give us some recommendations of what to expect, I think. But
I don't know. Maybe we should try to consider making them out of concrete instead, because that's going to last 3 times as long probably.
yeah, I wonder how that works without expansion. Gaps.
Yeah.
Well, you put them in, couldn't you? Huh?
You'd need to, but I don't know how that would go. I think that's why they stay away from that a little bit.
Asphalt will deteriorate much faster though.
Yeah.
So that's.
I guess
that
if
is
we
the
did it like a
challenge.
pool, screens and shotcrete, I mean,
all of our
the guys
skate
used
parks
to
all concrete.
skate pools all the time. That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a way to do it.
I don't know.
Oh, bottom corner, asphalt surface for low maintenance. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. In comparison to what, right?
But the bottom left, I think, is kind of what we're thinking about in concept down off of the trail.
Yeah, we located an area with your help about a year ago where it was like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome because it would help get our permanent campers out of the area. And then in our last meeting with Paul and Kirk, it was,
They mentioned that.
we're doing this
challenge.
new project now with the sediment down there because we were going to use that same area, and now they're saying, press pause, don't say anything to council about this. Let us get our design. There's a chance we can coexist in that same area depending on how big your project gets. So,
I mean, our footprint, I don't know what your footprint's like and what ours would be like, but there could be enough area for that to happen. We haven't even.
and if not, we'll move to a totally different spot. It's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. That was an idea we had because we get so many of those longboarders and bikers on that Provo River Trail. This would be really cool right near there.
Has it been looked at, that gravel area that you mentioned, that overflow parking or something like that?
That's not the area we were considering. You know where the drinking fountain is?
Yeah.
It's downhill of that. But you're saying maybe that other area would be a good spot.
That's,
That
that
might
area
be.
down in there is
That's a good,
about,
actually,
That's a
yeah.
great idea, Quinn.
800 yards from the gate. Are they gonna open that gate for public access to get through the park?
Does Central own that, or does Provo River own that? You know, down by the Murdoch Canal? That's probably Provo River.
I thought it was
That
Central,
parking
so
lot?
they acquired it from Rocky Mountain Power at the same time. I could be wrong. but-
It could,
Are you talking about this area now?
yeah.
That's ours. I just looked it up.
Looks like
Orem
it's-
City?
Yeah, look.
Is it really?
That might be an awesome place for that right by the river. We can make that really
Provo
cool.
Rivers.
They're using it right now to dig out that diversion and put stacked dirt on it.
Huh. I'm sure they got a permit from the city. We just learned that we owned it, right?
I thought we were still talking about that level.
So,
See where that gate is.
yeah, you want to show kind
It's
of
a
the,
big parcel. Yeah, it's a-
it was going to be kind of in here.
The area that they put in concept was just this piece that's inside that little loop road.
And I think this is where you're, if you want to zoom out, I think that
Sluicing
this is
reservoir.
where you're going to have your sediment area
Yep.
coming down from the tank over here. Does that sound right?
I think so, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we're just barely starting that. So.
AE2S is doing that, right? Yeah.
And we love this thought because there's also access from here, this trail that comes from this lower parking too. We're kind of trying to explore the ideas of maybe taking over that park and putting it all into one big park, but that's a long ways down the road too. We're not sure that's even going to be a possibility.
Okay, now where is this one?
This is that video. Oh, this was
Where?
West Jordan,
West Jordan.
I believe. I'll show that one real quick. So the team that has been helping us with the design on all of these bike projects just finished this project up in West Jordan, and they talked to the mayor into doing a promotional video for the opening day.
I'm here in West Jordan at the best wheel park you will ever experience. Come check it out. Watch this, watch this. Whoa, that was so cool! You want this? October 12th, come join me. I'm gonna be here.
So they're building them all over Utah, it looks like.
Yeah, they are. They're a big popular thing right now. The kids love them.
I don't think that was the mayor.
You know?
Chris, we'll expect a video of you doing similar riding.
He'll be laying on the ground.
Join me! I invited our mayor to do it in the presentation. We said the expectation's pretty high. We'd expect to see you do something similar with Pete and put a video together.
I don't know if you all saw on, I think it was maybe KSL, there was a big article on, or news feed on, I think it was Richfield, and the touristic concept or idea of promoting people to come from outside of the area even. It's not something that we're really plugged into, but I'm just saying it because it's kind of a bigger deal than, it's becoming bigger than ever before probably. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, these pump trucks that are made out of asphalt, that'd be challenging to maintain, I see, but I'd be interested to go visit some of these too to see what they're like. Pleasant Grove, on the east side, up by the Salt Lake Aqueduct, they have a large bike trail area up there too that's turned out to be really nice and challenging too. I think it has some nice features on that as well. But there seems to be more and more interest. I grew up mountain biking, and I was in Colorado and then in Utah. I've done a lot of it, but we didn't have the bike technology I think that they have today with the shock and the ability to absorb and to pump and so forth. And our frames were pretty stiff. Anyway, so anything else?
This is it. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. It's interesting.
A lot of fun things we're working on.
So,
any quick updates on the wastewater facility project?
Water reuse?
Water reuse project?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's progressing well. It's a little bit behind schedule. We were hoping to have it done by March of
next year.
25. It looks like it's probably going to be in May. So just a couple of months. Just typical delays on construction projects. Because of that, we had hoped to have to start delivering water to the golf course as well as Springwater Park this next year. But because of that delay, we're hesitant to put it online in the middle of the irrigation season to work out any quirks that might occur. So the plan is to, when it's done, we'll still run water through the system to test it out, at least as far as nutrient removal when it comes for phosphorus, and then we'll take steps to provide irrigation water towards the end of the irrigation season to test it out at Lakeside Sports Park primarily, and then anticipate providing water to the golf course in 2026.
We didn't want to throw it online in the middle of an irrigation season and then start trying to troubleshoot something where we switched from a culinary source to a reuse source, and we thought that could be a little tricky, so we decided to push that back. We are working with the state on adjusting our permit as well for phosphorus and nitrogen. That's that. And then there was legislation that was last year, a year and a half ago, where it basically killed the idea of Central and Orem kind of teaming up on that project over there. Because you have to have a replacement source for that water if you start reusing it. So that there was some new legislation that came out in effect to help save the Great Salt Lake. Yeah. They don't like water reuse at the legislative level from that perspective, I should say. And then also aquifer recharge and not allowing it to go back into the lake and then to the Great Salt Lake, I think those are going to be two issues that are going to hang up those types of projects in the future in light of the Great Salt Lake's condition.
The city's permit
we're good.
Predated that.
Predated that. And we can only use it for the water that we have rights to use. We can't use it on water that we're renting or leasing or from others, including Central on the Jordanelle water. And that's the targeted area. And then that would have helped you free up some water in your portfolio as well for drinking water. So, you know, if we want to team up and do something with the legislature or start talking to our city manager is pretty good friends with, what's his name? Brady Brammer, who's now in the Senate. And you have contacts as well. Maybe there are some that we want to start talking with regarding this. We might be perceived as the bad guy that wants to kill the Salt Lake or something. I don't know. I don't know how that feeling is. But it's kind of a sensitive issue. Anyway, the water tank project. The tank is done. We've done our leak test on the tank. We've identified some areas where we need to cure some of those challenges where we do have some leaking that's occurring, as you would at any tank project. So we've done the hydrostatic water test on that, and we've determined areas that are targeted for repairs on that before we put that online.
The engineer said that I think we had 20 leaks that need to be repaired from the inside, but he said that was
pretty common.
Was pretty good.
Yeah.
So holding off on backfill, or has it already been backfilled?
It's not backfilled yet.
Until after these leaks?
Yep, right.
Some of those tracks, they're standing now, but they're requiring a turn. So, yeah, they're saying it's real good.
You've already opened the road on 4 South too, so.
4 South, East, and West is open. There's a narrow lane both directions, standard lane, but it's on the north side, north half of the road. So that is up and running. The signal went in, of course, last year, or was it this year? Was it last year? Okay, it's all a blur at this point. Not for the people that live there, though. Yeah, so we have. We're also extending the drain line in 8 South. I think it's under contract right now. We're upsizing that line to help with the draining of this facility.
Well, the plans for the pump station and the well house have been delayed. We expect to get the final draft Wednesday, which we'll review and then finalize those and go out to bid. We wanted that to be under construction already, but it hasn't happened. So one of the reasons we moved the road is because the site's going to sit quiet for a little bit, at least that area, and so we moved the road, opened it up so residents could use it.
Is the park on top of the reservoir, is that part of the current contract?
Yes.
So, and regarding that too, I don't think it's going to be utilized much at all on top. There will be a nice area to walk around the tank, and in the corners are going to be areas to sit down, or there will be a playground area for smaller kids in one spot, one corner, and there's going to be some educational opportunities around it too, kind of like what you were mentioning at Washington County.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're going to be doing some of those things and programming it that way, more for like a passive experience. Yeah.
Good.
You're excited about this, aren't you?
Sorry, I was just thinking as a source of income, they could have a dive training program.
Quinn, you okay with that? Yeah, sure. So we'll soak you in chlorine first, and then you can go down.
Hey, we could do scuba lessons.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
I love. You're always thinking about revenue generating ideas, Gary. So that's great. Coming up, we have our budget season is full bore starting probably in about December, and then we have a budget that's adopted at the end of June. And so what's at the forefront of our minds right now, and we're completing some studies on rates as well as impact fees. We're updating our impact fee, which we do about every 5 years or so. This will be our first time that we've updated them. So we're in the process of finalizing all of that. I anticipate that we're going to have that ready to go at our next meeting in January. I propose we don't meet in December.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Are you doing a study for the impact fees?
Yes. Lewis Robertson Birmingham's been doing that for I don't know, 6-7 months, it seems like. And updating some master plan, tweaking some master plans as well. So we'll have that for you at our next meeting in more detail.
Dates for the next meeting?
Well, let's see. 14th or 21st. Which one is President's?
Martin Luther King Day.
Martin Luther King Day is the 20th.
Okay. We can do it the day after the holiday.
21st?
Yeah. Now, sometimes that's been problematic. We might forget, but if you want to shoot for that, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that. We'll send out the minutes and the agenda. And it will likely be on impact fees and rates, utility rates. The you all. Anything else, Jim?
No,
I don't have
that's
anything
good.
else besides that.
All right.
Maybe just to add, the rates and impact fees we'll be presenting to you kind of just to get your feedback to see if we're moving in a good direction, because we're going to, we want you to recommend a path forward when we tell the city council what we feel needs to happen, so that we have the support of the Public Works Advisory Commission. So your input would be appreciated.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So let it be then.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Great.
Thanks,
Tyler.
What do you think of that proposal by Lyndon to widen the road over there? I mean,